So, good morning, students. I hope you're all safe and staying home and following all the uh, advisory of the government. So, yesterday we have studied about uh, Rhone Valley, the wines of Rhone Valley. Uh, uh, let me tell you, uh, we are studying the wines of France. The old world wines. In old world wines, we know there are five countries are there in old world wines, and France, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Germany. And among those five, we have started uh, with the wines of France. So we are studying the wines of France for last few days. We started with Bordeaux, and we have seen the wine appellations. What are the European wine categories like AOC, like DOC, DO, everything we have seen for different countries. And we have studied about Bordeaux wine, and we have studied about Burgundy wine. We have studied about Champagne. Then yesterday we started with the Rhone Valley, the wines of Rhone Valley. The wines of Rhone Valley is, as you know, we have it's divided into two, sub-regions. One is Northern Rhone, another one is Southern Rhone. Northern Rhone is very famous. Uh, it produces good quality wines because uh, it is the regions with full of hills and steep. So it 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 produces some good quality wines, and that some good AOC wines comes from Northern Rhone, and wines are very good characteristics. And if we talk about Southern Rhone, Southern Rhone is also producing good wines, but the land, the vineyards are very flat and wide, bigger than Northern Rhone. They have a lot of big stones. Entire vineyards you can see a lot of stones, and the stones, absorbing heat from the sun, and it produces the night to the grapes. So what happens over hot climate? Both regions are red wine regions. If you talk about Northern Rhone, Syrah grape is the dominating grape. If we talk about Southern Rhone, Grenache grape is the dominating grape. And we have seen some good principal grape varieties of each region, and we have seen some good wine appellations. The best wines comes from the both regions, like Chateauneuf of the Pape. Chateauneuf of the Pape, one of the best wine comes, best full body red wine. Full body red wine comes from southern road region. And same if you talk about northern road also some good wines comes from northern road region, like Hermitage, Saint Joseph, Gros Hermitage, and Cornas, you know, and Koteroti. So these are the basically the the famous AOC appellations, wine appellations of the Rhone Valley. And in southern Rhone we have Chateauneuf, we have Cote du Rhone, we have Cote du Rhone villages. So these are the famous appellations or good producing wine producing communes we have seen. So before we go into the new next region, it's called Loire Valley. So today we are going to study about Loire Valley. Uh, so there are 13 wine producing regions in France. I already told you 13 wine producing regions. Among these 13 wine producing regions, we are studying about the first six, which is the very famous one, which are producing a great, good quality wines to entire the world, like Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, Rhone Valley, Loire Valley, and Alsace. Obviously, we will study about other regions also, but these we are focusing most on these regions because they're very famous regions. We started with Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne. We have done. Yesterday we have done with the Rhone Valley. Today we will start with Loire Valley. So when we talk about Loire Valley, Loire Valley is another region. which are very famous for making wines. But before that, I want to show some videos of, Rhone, how the wine has been produced in the Rhone Valley. Just a small clips, you will get idea. So you'll get that connect.
Over 2,000 years ago, the Romans pushed north and discovered a land that was ideal for grapevines. When you look closely at these rocky soils, it seems improbable that anything can grow here in abundance, even the hardy vine.
You can see the big stones. I told you already. The southern Rhone, how the stones are very big.
This wine region has shot to prominence in recent decades, and today has over 75,000 hectares under vine. It stretches 180 kilometers along the river that shares its name, depositing alluvial soils along its banks for millennia. Syrah, Viognier, and many other varietals call this home. Through the centuries, wine has been the center of daily life and commerce. This is one of France's oldest growing regions and a destination for great value red wines. This is the Rhone Valley. This is the Rhone River. It stretches for 180 kilometers, and from Vienne to Avignon, it joins the northern Rhone and southern Rhone Valley. This region is a story in two parts, linked by one great river. For centuries, the Rhone River was an important inland trade route that allowed wine merchants to ship their cargoes to distant markets. But it's only been the last few decades since the popularity of these wines exploded. These days, Rhone grape varietals are cultivated in vineyards all over the world, and I think it's a testament to their popularity and mass appeal. Syrah in Australia, Grenache and Mourvedre in California, and Viognier in South Africa all pay tribute to the long-standing winemaking traditions of this valley. This region is all about diversity. Pick a wine style and you'll find it here. From full-bodied structured reds to lighter everyday drinking wines, and there's great value to be found. It's no wonder that wines from the Rhone are a favorite amongst wine enthusiasts. At this vintages event in Toronto, the world's greatest wines are on display, and it's not surprising that the Rhone labels are in demand. This region's influence is undeniable, and wine writers and the enthusiasts who follow them are taking notice.
Well, I think that the Rhone is probably one of the best values that you can get in the fine wine regions of France. First of all, it really hasn't been discovered, and these are great food wines too.
You've got this big swath of land that is really getting a lot of that Mediterranean heat, and that Grenache really develops that incredibly fruity, almost really kind of chewy character. It just bursts forth. I like the excitement of those wines.
The wines of the Côte de Rhone are made in a range of styles. They're food-friendly, they offer great value, but more than anything else, they really express a sense of place. And this place is spectacular. If you want to get to know these wines, it's best to start in the vineyard.
Yesterday we studied about these communes, Gros-Simmental, Saint Joseph.
Traditional approaches and styles, while embracing new winemaking technologies. They set themselves apart from other growing regions with wines that express terroir.
Look at the stones in southern Rhone. These are the stones we have discussed.
The purists insist that wine is made in the vineyard.
The people that want to respect the flavours of terroir argue that really you should have the courage to do nothing. in the winemaking process. And that's very much what goes on here. They see themselves as guardians of the terroir rather than winemakers.
The Rhone Valley is red wine country. It's over 90% of what they produce, along with some whites, rosé, and even sparkling wines. Located in southeastern France, it's very close to the Mediterranean Sea. The growing regions stretch from Lyon in the north to Avignon in the south, through two distinct climatic zones. The subsoils are incredibly varied, with 5 major soil types. The southern Rhone is broad, with a warm Mediterranean climate. Sun-drenched, it's famous for round, full-bodied, easy-drinking wines. We're starting our journey in the northern Rhone. It's much smaller than the south, with a slightly cooler, semi-continental climate. The wines here are famous for their elegance and finesse. The vineyards of the northern Rhone cling to steep landscapes made of granite and quartz. That's one of the reasons that Syrah does so well in these vineyards. This is the land where Syrah was born, and home to appellations like Hermitage, Gros Hermitage, Cornas, and Saint-Joseph. The granite soils here produce tannic wines with structure that develop in complexity and finesse as they age. The only red grape permitted here is... So this is the blend of white grapes and red grapes. So Syrah and Viognier can go sometimes blend. So this is what they are showing. Climate of the north. Producing wines from these slopes. Look at the slopes. Look at the hills. This is how the northern Rhone. You can see the northern Rhone, how the hills area. It's very steep. All the vineyards. You can see the Hermitage. Hermitage, one of the quality wine producer in northern Rhone. Look at the steep.
Much more better than coming from everywhere else around. You imagine that in Hermitage like that, to make a wine, you need at least 600 to 700 hours per hectare of work. Well, I'd certainly understand why the wines from this area are so expensive. You bet. Everything is handmade. You can use any machine here. So every year making Hermitage on this hill is kind of a challenge. When we produce 10 to 15 hectoliters per hectare, it's already a good harvest. And harvest time here is not for the faint of heart.
Can you see this, how they are climbing? So for mechanical harvesting, it's not at all possible in northern Rhone. So only it has to be done by hand picking. And of course, all people you can see here, they are picking by hands, all the grape varieties. And how steep it is. You can see, how the hills, how it's look like a steep hill. So it's naturally it produce the great quality wines. So I'll show the another clipping I'm having. So you can understand whatever is learned, you can connect, and when you see, it is very easy.
The vines need to suffer. It needs soils which are very, very poor. So the roots, the system of roots goes very, very deep in order to feed the grapes.
La Chapelle, 76, 72, 69, 66, 60. Oh my gosh, look at this. And it's 61. This really demonstrates the aging potential of some of the wines from the Rhone.
Completely. I mean, that's legendary vintage on a legendary wine. And that's really one of the most spectacular bottles we have in cellar, with a 78 and 90 as well. But this is great.
Now, for someone who's putting wine down in their cellar and they're going to age it, how does that change, the flavor profile change over time?
So when the wine is really young, a young Hermitage will bring a lot of fruit, young fruit, but very cooked, little marmalade of fruit. After 10 years, the wine moves slowly with some more mushrooms flavor, And then after 20, 25, 30, 40 years, it can go more on tobacco flavor and coffee flavor.
Okay, but not all the wines from the Côtes d'Iron have to age. Some of them are ready for drinking right away, right?
Yes, completely. I mean, if you consider the regional appellation like Côtes d'Iron Village, Gros Hermitage, and some Saint-Joseph or Vacheras, I mean, most of them are very good to drink and very good to enjoy very quickly. But you know, we also have some fabulous appellation, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Hermitage, Côte-Rôtie, which require sometimes.
And that's one of the things with the Côtes d'Iron. There's something for every occasion and for every budget.
Exactly, completely. From north, from the south, and everybody will find his pleasure in this region.
This is the single most important day of the year in Abruy, on the slopes of Côte-Rôtie. A year's hard work for the growers culminates at this moment. It's a race against time for the Guigal family. Marcel, the family patriarch, oversees every detail of production. His son Philippe took over management of the winery in 1997 and works under the watchful eye of his father.
My luck today is that I work with my father. I learn from him every day, so I've been lucky to spend a long time in the different universities. I know the theory, but I learn every day from the practice.
This day, local growers converge on the winery to watch their grapes harvest being delivered and graded. They will be paid according to the quality of their Syrah.
We have the birthplace of the Syrah or the Shiraz here in Northern Rhone, so we grow it in our steep vineyards for more than 2,400 years. We will have a typical spicy Syrah in Northern Rhone with fresh tannins, with an aromatic profile that would be through black fruits, blackberries, etc.
Syrah, or Shiraz as it's often known in the New World, is often identified with heavy, almost quite jammy flavours. But in the Northern Rhone, it's a completely different ballgame. You're more on the sort of subtlety, on the spice, and slightly herbaceous notes. You can have wines with incredible minerality that age for decades.
Now we journey into the southern Rhone, an area known as Provence, where the sun shines about 300 days a year.
Sans soleil, la fleur périt, et puis s'évanouit.
The small villages that spread across this region haven't changed much over time, except for tourists. They come here for the Mediterranean lifestyle, history and beauty. This area shares a lot.
So this is the small video clippings I wanted to show you for to understanding the wines of Rhone Valley. So now let us start about Loire Valley. So we'll start with like Rhone Valley. You have seen the this northern Rhone and southern Rhone, how it differs. You have seen the biggest stones which were present in in the southern Rhone. The stones makes lot of difference. The flat area, the wide area makes lot of difference making producing wines. That is the difference. You see the steep areas of the hills areas of northern Rhone. So where there is no possibility of mechanical harvesting or whatever you want to do. So what is the difference between mechanical harvesting and manual? So whatever you do with the human touch, whatever you do hand picking, you will understand, you will see the grape and you will harvest. Man doesn't do like this. Machine doesn't do like this. Machine will harvest everything. Machine doesn't understand which one is ripe one, which one is not ripe one, which one is fully ripe, which one is half ripe, which one is not at all ripened, which one is spoiled, rotten one. So the machine doesn't understand anything. Machine will harvest everything, whatever the fruits are there in the plant. But when you go for hand picking, you will when you pick, then you will easily understand which one is ripe, which one is not ripe. So obviously, you will get good quality wines if you make wines out of those grapes. So this is what the major difference between northern Rhone and southern Rhone. But still, both regions are making wines. Both regions are making, good quality wines. There is no different in that. But when you compare with northern Rhone, southern Rhone, still southern Rhone plays, standing high uh, than the northern Rhone standing high than the southern Rhone in all the characteristics and qualities of the wines which they producing. So this is what about Rhone. So let us go to Loire Valley. So we will study about Loire Valley. Loire Valley is also same similar to Rhone. So the name came from the word called Loire. Loire is a river. Same, we have seen Rhone. Rhone is the name of the river. So the Rhone Valley, the name came from the name of the river. Same, if you talk about Loire, Loire also the name which came from the river. So this is the map of Loire Valley. You can see here. You can see here. Um, you know these are the you can see the regions name, you can see the sub-regions, you can see something called Touraine, you can see something called Orleans, you can see something called Anjou. These are the names you are seeing here. So these are the small sub-regions which comes under the Loire Valley, like other regions what we've seen, the sub-regions and the communes and everything. So Loire Valley also a lot of things to learn. So we will go one by one. We'll study, guys. Before I start the class, please ask any doubts. I'm watching your comment box, chat box. So live chat, you can ask any doubts in the live chat. So we can clarify your doubts. So uh, so wines of Loire Valley. Uh, this is France's third largest wine growing area. So you will understand if it is the third largest wine growing area, what is the one, second, first one, second one. So obviously, so after Bordeaux, after Burgundy, Loire is the largest wine growing area in France. So Bordeaux, Burgundy, and Loire Valley. So Loire Valley has a lot. It's a huge producing winemakers over there in the Loire Valley. After Bordeaux and Burgundy, the longest, most diverse vineyard in France, and it's huge. The area is very huge. Okay, and when you compare with other regions, and its alcohol of the wine is very moderate, very refreshing, acidity, and a lot of minerals because of the climate, because of the soil. The soil gives a lot of minerals to the wines like gravel, sand, pebbles, you know, and limestone. So these are the soils considered one of the most suitable soils for making producing grapes in these regions. And alcohol is very moderate, and it's a very refreshing wine. Acidity also very good acidity. The wines are very good, suitable for the food, and it has a continental climate influenced by river. Obviously, it's a valley of the river. It's influenced by the river and the Atlantic Ocean nearby. Okay, so the Loire Valley, the river, of course, that goes to the Atlantic Ocean. So it's a very good climate. It's a continental climate because Loire River is there. Then of course in nearby you have Atlantic Ocean at the western edge of the region. So this gives to this continental climate these two reasons why why this Loire Valley getting this continental climate. And during the harvest month, rain may happen during September or October. There will be a season of rain, and you see the acres, 1,85,000 acres planted vineyards. So Loire Valley is about two-third size of Bordeaux wine region. We know the Burgundy is one of the biggest These two are the biggest wine producing regions in France. Next to Bordeaux and Burgundy, if you see the acres, if you see the area wise, Loire Valley producing 1,85,000 acres. They're planting vineyards. So if you calculate it with the Bordeaux, it is two-third of Bordeaux wine region. So it's quite big. Loire Valley is quite big uh, wine producing region, and they have if you seeing 1,85,000 thousand acres, they have a vineyards. So this is one of the largest wine producer in France. When we talk about Loire Valley wines history, like we have studied about the wine history of France, so same similar. 4th century they have started the vineyards, and slowly from Middle Ages to 17th century there were lot of refinement, there were lot of improvise, lot of growth, like religious orders. We have studied about monasteries, monks who have developed the wines in a better way than kings of France. The France kings like French Louis. So those kings have played a major role in the development of the wines in the France, and of course, the Roman Empire also played a major role in developing the vineyards in Loire Valley. In the 19th century, you all know we have already studied, we have discussed this. The phylloxera came from the US. It came from the US, and it attacked all the vineyards. So the Loire Valley also got stuck. The wines being dropped down. You can see the numbers in approximately in 1885. 80 million hectoliters. It came down to 25 million hectoliters. The annual production of wine from 80 million hectoliter to 25 million hectoliter. It's a huge. The phylloxera made a huge impact. Then 1936, the AOC was born. The French AOC have started protecting vineyards and started producing high quality wines in the France, and of course to enter the world. And of course, after 1936, the Second World War, again, and people are started moving from the vineyards, and so again it was another bad time for the winemaking process. And after 1970, everything went very well with the French wines. The technology invention, the rise of oenology means the study of wine. The study of wine has been increased among the winemakers. The people started to know about wines. The people started, how to produce wines, how to cultivate the grapes, how to harvest the grapes, how to plant the vineyards. So everything, the knowledge of the wine has been increased after 1970 until 2019. Loire Valley is one of the sustainable vineyards among all the regions. I'm repeating again, Loire Valley, 30% of Loire Valley vineyards are being, maintained under sustainable, and because organically formed and not much investment. It is purely, it's a sustainable vineyards. More than 30% of the vineyards are sustainable vineyards, and it grows on its own. That is the sustainability. It grows on own. You don't need much fertilizer. You don't need much things to do for the plants. So this is how they have created. This is how the last 40 years they have made the Loire vineyards, which is one of the best vineyards in France as well as the country. Sometimes people be called as the Garden of France. Loire Valley also will be called as a Garden of France. So a lot of greeneries, a lot of plantations. Of course, 90% they have all vineyards, and they have started organically formed, which means the wind help itself for the growth to produce the grapes. Moving to the grapes, so what are the grapes? Principal grape varieties of Loire Valley. If you talk about white grapes, the principal grapes The principal grape variety of white variety, they have three principal grape varieties. One is Melandi Bourgogne. The Melandi Bourgogne is the principal white grape variety, like we have seen in Rhone Valley, Viognier. Viognier is one of the principal grape varieties. Same here, Melody Bourgogne is the one of the principal grape variety, which is 30 percentage of these grapes being planted in the in the Loire Valley, and Chenin Blanc is one of the premium grape variety in Loire, 27 percentage. Then Sauvignon Blanc is also one of the most famous quality grapes, which have been we already seen Bordeaux also have Sauvignon Blanc, and of course Loire Valley also have Sauvignon Blanc is one of the principal grape of Loire. Of course, I told you yesterday, all other every regions, every country have their own domestic grape varieties, which are not so famous out of the region or out of the country. So everywhere you go, there will be local grape varieties in every region, every commune. You will able to find it. So here same Folie Blanche. Folie Blanche is the local domestic grape variety. 3% they have. Divers they have 4%. Of course, they have a Chardonnay also. You can see Chardonnay also there. Chardonnay, I told you, Chardonnay can be planted anywhere Chardonnay can be, grown. It's that kind of quality Chardonnay has. So these are the white grape varieties of Lower Valley region. You can see this map, and you can see the diagram, the how much the grapes of Melody, Bourgogne, Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, and these are made into dry wines, sweet wine, semi-sweet. They are making Loire Valley also making sparkling wines. I'm telling you, next to Champagne, Loire Valley making good sparkling wine. Of course, they don't make Champagne, but next to after Champagne region, Loire Valley is considered one of the good sparkling wines region. So we will study about the sparkling wines of Loire Valley also. When you talk about red grapes, the principal red grapes are Cabernet Franc. Cabernet Franc, 56% they have Cabernet Franc, and Gamay, one of the principal grape variety of Beaujolais region. So the Gamay is also principal grape variety of Loire Valley, 18% Gamay, and Pinot Noir they have 8%. So these are the principal grape variety. Apart from they have other grapes also. You can see the Cabernet Sauvignon, Bordeaux's principal grape variety also available in Loire Valley. And divers we have white also, we have red also, 6%, and Grolieu is 7%. So these are the red grape varieties of Loire Valley. Uh, this when you talk about Loire Valley, they have white three principal grape variety, then red they have three principal grape varieties, where most of the wines been produced from those grapes. That's why it's called the principal grape varieties. This is the red wine, red varietals, and this we the red grapes are used to make red wines, rosé wines, and sometimes sparkling wines also. So Loire Valley, I told you Rhone Valley also one of the best region to produce rosé wines from the Grenache grape. So Grenache grape is one of the best grape can be used for making rosé wines. Same, Loire Valley also producing good rosé wines. When we talk about Loire Valley wine regions, what are the wine regions comes under the Loire Valley? One is uh, the Loire Valley can be divided into three subregions. One is Upper Loire, second one is Middle Loire, third one is Loire. So very simple way, the Upper Loire is dominated by Sauvignon Blanc, the Middle Loire is dominated by Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc, and Loire is dominated by Melody Bourgogne. I am telling you, I made this PPT in a such a way that you can easily understand the concept of the wines, the Loire Valley wines. Not about Loire Valley, for all the regions. So upper Loire is, if you talk about upper Loire, there are two famous wine appellations comes under the upper layer, Sancerre and Pouilly Fumé. So these two words you can read here. So Sancerre and Pouilly Fumé is a very famous, wine appellations AOC, which is located in the upper Loire. The dominant grape variety is Sauvignon Blanc. So when you talk about um, once again, when you talk about middle Loire, so middle Loire, we have four famous wine appellations they have. Touraine, Touraine is the big wine district, the biggest wine district in Loire Valley. They have a Saumur, they have a Chinon, they have Ouvray. So these are the very four major wine appellations in Middle Loire. The dominant grape variety is Chenin Blanc and Cabernet Franc. When you talk about Loire, Muscadet is one of the very most important wine AOC appellations, which producing a lot of wines in the name of Muscadet. And dominant grape is Melody Bourgogne, is a white grape variety. So this is the sub-regions or the wine producing regions in Loire Valley. Now we are going to talk about the Loire Valley AOC, the best wine appellations comes from Loire Valley. The best wine appellations comes from Loire Valley. So if you see, we have seen few appellations like Sancerre, we have seen Vouvray, Chinon, Touraine, Muscadet. These are the best wine appellations. We are going to study in detail about these wine appellations. So first one is Sancerre AOC. So Sancerre AOC is, if you talk about Sancerre AOC, average annual wine production in the last 5 years, 1,76,000 hectoliters. Hectoliters they are producing wines, and white is 1,43,000, and red is 19,000 hectoliters, and rosé is 14,000. Can you see this? Can you see this figure? Total wine production per annum is 1,76,000 hectoliters. Among this, around 70 percentage you can say it's a white wines. They producing white because we already seen the Sancerre was dominated by Sauvignon Blanc. So most of the wines, their wines are the white wines. This is how we need to understand. And the red also they are producing, not very bad, at 19,000 hectoliters, and rosé is 14,000 hectoliters. So these are the annual production, approximate production of Sancerre AOC. We already know the principal white is Sauvignon Blanc, and red and rosé made by Pinot Noir. These are the grapes, um, being the principal grape varieties which are helping to produce the white wines and red wines and rosé wines. The minimum planting density, imagine, the average planting density per acre is 2,000 to 3,000. But imagine the Sancerre AOC, the density is very high, 6,100 wings per hectare. 1 hectare, 6,100 plants being planted in Sancerre. So the density is so high. So this is one of the reason, they have, they are producing large number of wine, third largest wine producer in France. Maybe this is one of the reason. The wine qualities, white wines have a crispy, dry white and vibrant with the citrus aromas. Of course, the white wine with a lot of acidity will have a citrus aromas, and serving temperature between 8 degree to 12 degree centigrade. Aging can be there 2 to 3 years, but till up to 5 to 10 years of some QVs. I already told you QVs is nothing. QVs is blending. In some blendings, the wines can be aged, 5 to 10 years also. So Sancerre can go well. The white wines can go. Sancerre white can go well with shellfish and seafood and foie gras. So these are the food can be the best accompaniment for the Sancerre white. When you talk about Sancerre red, Of course, a dry wine made from Pinot Noir grape. It's a cherry flavor on the nose, and it's a full very good palate, very good firm, concrete wine, very good firm wine on the palate, and is very good excellent length. Length means after you drink the wine, how long it stays in your mouth. That is called length. The length of the wine. So that is very very important. The wine after once you drank, how long the wine will stay in your mouth, how long you can feel the wine in your mouth, that is called length. So this Sancerre Red has a good length of stay and served at 13 to 14 percentage ABV, sorry, 13 to 14 degrees centigrade, aging 2 to 3 years and up to 10 years with a good vintage. For example, good year. If it's a vintage means harvesting year. If it's a good year of harvesting, then you can stay up to 10 years. But most of the wines, averagely, most of the 90% of the wines will be, uh, sold within 2 to 3 years of aging. And the red wines, red Sancerre goes well with red meat and seafood stew. When you talk about rosé wines, very fruity note, and menthol. They have pepper aromas, and of course they have apricot and red currant also. Very crispy and lively on the palate when you drink the wines. Very crispy, very sharp, and it can be served at 8 to 12 degrees centigrade. Aging can be 2 years, and it goes chicken and turkey dishes with the sauces, and also it goes well with crepes. When you make crepes, it goes well with. It can be served along with the crepes also. This is about Sancerre AOC. Moving to Poily Fume AOC. Guys, let me tell you, I already telling you again and again. All the regions, all the communes are producing wines.